What's up guys, Todd Kelly, Shoe Swap Outdoors, and today we're going to show you how to tan a beaver hide. In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn this beautiful beaver hide into a dry tan, wall hanger, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a garment quality tan, so if you want to make a hat or gloves out of a beaver, this is the process you're going to use. I'm going to make this video fairly quick. I'm not going to do a lot of explanations of why I'm using what. If you want a more detailed breakdown, I have a whitetail deer hide video, back skin, I'll link up here. And for this process, because beavers are greasy skins, we're going to use the same process as my coyote tanning video, so I'll also put that up here. We need the extra degreasing stage for this beaver hide. I just finished skinning this thing out. I'm not going to salt it before we get into our pickle. The only thing I'm going to do is wash it out with clean cold water because beavers are fairly dirty. They have a lot of mud and sand in their hair, and we don't want that going into our pickle and monkeying with our pH. Before I wash the hide, I want my pickle ready to go. So we're going to build that here. For this hide, we're going to go with 4 gallons of clean cold water. That's 1 pound of fine grain white salt per pound. So we got 4 pounds of salt. For our acid, I like Safety Pickle, and that's a 1/2 ounce per gallon, so we need 2 ounces of our acid. I'm going to also add 1 ounce of Chemol 4. And this will help clean the hair, fight some of the grease. And I'm also going to do 1 ounce of Liposol 77, which is a degreaser. Get that in here. I'm going to mix it up, and we'll wash that hide, get it nice and clean, and then we'll throw it into our pickle here. Our hide has been washed here, got all the dirt and blood off of it, which there wasn't much. If you can see here, I clean skinned this hide. If you have a bunch of fat and meat left on your hide, you need to do a rough fleshing first, either with a knife or on a fleshing beam. You can also use a pressure washer if that works for you. Because this is so clean, it's ready to go into our pickle. This is what you want it to look like, no meat and fat on it. So it's just washed out, clean cold water. Wring as much of the water out as possible, just so it doesn't dilute your pickle too much. Into our pickle. It needs to sit in our pickle here for a minimum of 3 days. You can leave it longer if you want, but a minimum of 3 days here. We don't want to weigh down our hide in our pickle. We want it to float. So when you stir it up, when you're done and you're going to let it sit for a while, make sure that the fur side is up. None of the flesh side is up. That'll dry out or anything. So give it a good mix here. We're looking for a pH of 2. We can go down to 1.5, is starting to get pretty low, and no higher than 2.5 pH. So I just wanted to quickly show you guys, this is what I mean by floating your hide. When you're done mixing it up, hair side up, and just let it float there. It's going to be fine. Don't weigh it down. And we can check our pH here. And we're right in between the 1.5 and 2. So that's perfect, just where we're looking for. So we'll come back in 3 days here. Our hide's been in the pickle for 3 days now. It's safe to pull out and work on it. So I'm going to pull this thing out, squeeze as much of the pickle out of the hair as possible, just so we don't have a big mess. I'm going to hang it up, let it drip dry for about an hour, and we're going to move on to what's called the final fleshing. And that's removing any of the membrane, fat, meat that might be left onto this hide at this point. So I'm going to pull this thing out and we'll get after it and show you the final fleshing. Couple options. We can use a saddle scraper like the one I have here. Regular old 2-handed fleshing knife. If you don't have either of these, you can go ahead, use a fillet knife. Something with a long flexible blade works really well. And we're going to go over this entire hide, scraping it to make sure we have everything removed from this hide so it's nice and clean. Even in areas like this that look good, you're still going to get something off of it. So we'll work over this entire hide here and get everything off. And I'll just show you the saddle scraper here. And even though I clean skinned this thing really well, we're still getting some membrane off here, so we'll just work over the whole hide. Two-handed fleshing knife. We're going to use the dull edge on this one. Doing the final fleshing took about 10 minutes. Because I'm going to keep the ears on this hide, we're going to turn them inside out. So you want a really sharp knife and just slowly turn this ear inside out, skinning as along as you go. So there we go. That's the ear turned inside out. The final fleshing done on the hide. It's really clean. There's no membrane left on it at all. So back into our pickle for a minimum of 24 hours. And then we'll come back to you for the degreasing stage. Our hide's been in the pickle for another 24 hours since our final fleshing. And we're ready to move on to the degreasing stage. We're starting out with fresh water. It's warm water this time. No more than 90 degrees Fahrenheit. We're doing half a pound per gallon of salt. So I have 3 gallons here. So I got 1.5 pounds of fine grain white salt. Our degreaser, we're going to use Liposol 77. That's 1 ounce per gallon. So we're going to add 3 ounces here. Give it a little bit of a stir before we put our hide into it. You really want to make sure that that salt is fully dissolved, or else we're going to end up with acid swelling in our hide. And I wrung out the hide, hung it up for about an hour just to get as much of the pickle out of the hide as possible. And we got our hide in here for at least 3 hours. If it's a big greasy beaver, you can go to 4 hours, but let's say 3 hours is our safe bet here. So every half an hour, we're going to come and stir this hide up, agitate it really well. The more we do it, the better degreasing job we're going to have done on this hide here. So we'll come back after 3 hours here and show you what it looks like. Our hide's been in the degreasing bath for 3 hours now. It's looking really good, nice and clean. I'm going to pull this out, give it a quick rinse in clean cold water just to get all of this degreasing bath out of the fur, back into our pickle for 24 hours. So we'll do that, and then we'll come back after 24 hours for our neutralizing stage. Our hide's been in the pickle for another 24 hours, and we're ready to start tanning this hide. And then first thing we need to do is neutralize this hide, get the pH up into the 3-4 range where the tanning oil will fully penetrate it. So we got 3 gallons of cold water. We're doing a 1/4 pound of salt per gallon. So 3/4 of a pound. And we're going to do 2 ounces of baking soda. So we're looking at 6 ounces. So we're only going to put half of this in. So 3 ounces at the beginning. You can just eyeball it. You don't have to do it. Just mix it up. Ooh. And so we'll get our hide here. I'll just show you, looking really good. And so our hide needs to be in the neutralizing bath for an hour. We want to mix this a minimum of 4 times, so every 15 minutes. We really want to make sure that the full hide is neutralized. At the half-hour mark, we'll add the rest of our baking soda, and then we can get this thing ready to get the tan on. It's been an hour of our hide being in our neutralizing bath. I'm going to pull it out, rinse the hide out with just clean cold water, and we're going to hang the hide up, let it drip dry for a couple hours to get a whole bunch of the moisture up, and then we can move on to the tanning application. We're ready to move on to the final stage of putting the tanning oil onto our hide here. I had this hide hanging up drip drying for 2 hours. Then I wrapped it up into a towel tightly to pull as much of the moisture out of the hair and the leather side as possible. I want my hide to be in that classic oval shape of a beaver board. So before I put my tanning oil on, I'm going to nail my hide to this board. You don't have to do that. You can lay it down on the ground, put your tanning oil on it, and just stretch it like normal. But when it dries, it's not going to have really a uniform shape that I'm looking for, but you can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to nail my hide onto the board here, and then I'll show you applying the tanning oil. I've got the beaver hide nailed out here on our beaver board. I also sewed up the leg holes here, all 4 of them. These are our ears still inside out because we want to get the tanning oil on them. We're going to use True Bond 1000B. This is my favorite tanning oil. And we're going to spread some on now. And a nice even thin coating across the whole hide here. And we want to get to the edges. It's all right if you get some of the oil into the hair. Once it's dry, you'll be able just to brush it out, especially when we go to break it. Not that big of a deal to get a little bit of the oil on the hair. So there we go. We got a nice even coating. If you haven't nailed your beaver hide to a board and you just have it loose on the ground, starting at the 24-hour mark, you're going to pull the hide, stretch it out in every direction for a few minutes. And we're going to do that every 12 to 24 hours until it's completely dry. If you have it on the board here like I do here, I'm going to lift the hide onto the nails so I can get some airflow onto the fur side of the hide here so that can start drying. And as it dries and shrinks onto the board, it's kind of going to stretch itself because it's retained by the nails here, so you don't have to pull it off. So we'll check back in another day or so, have a look at how our drying's coming along here. Our hide's been drying for 3 days now, and it's completely dry. Looks really good. Nice, white, soft, flexible hide. When you have it pinned on the board like this, when it dries and shrinks, the nails holding the leather back self-break the hide. So we don't have to do any hand breaking on this hide to get it nice and soft. It's done for us. If you didn't pin it onto a board and you just had it flat on the ground, as I said earlier, every 12 to 24 hours, you're going to have to stretch it out by hand to get it from that dark color to a white, soft leather. So I'm going to pull this off our board and we're going to move on to our final step. So our last step in the process here is to give the leather side a sanding, either 60 or 80 grit in a palm sander. Go over the entire leather side. As you can see, when you pin it up on the board, it retains its shape even though it's still soft and flexible. This is with zero breaking in. This is just letting it dry on that board pinned. Turns out really nice. So we're just going to go over with the palm sander, smooth everything out, give it a really nice appearance. This is also going to help break it a little, make it a little softer as well. So here we go. Here's the finished product. I did about 10 minutes with the palm sander. Really cleaned up the leather side of it. Looks really nice. Nice, soft, flexible. This is a late winter, early spring beaver here. Just beautiful. I really like the shape you get doing it on a beaver board. That classic oval shape of a beaver skin. What some guys like doing at this point is making a willow frame or a hoop and then tying it on with some leather strings. You already have the nail holes to sew it in on. Just a beautiful beaver pelt here. If you have any questions or comment, throw those on down below. I always check the comment section. Hit the thumbs up. That really helps the channel. And if you're into more taxidermy, fishing, hunting content, please subscribe. Anyways, thanks for watching.